Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're tackling a topic that affects pretty much everyone at some point: procrastination. We've all been there, deadlines looming, that growing sense of dread, and yet we still find ourselves reorganizing the sock drawer instead of tackling that big project. But why do we do it? What is it about pushing things off that can feel so good, even when we know it's probably not in our best interest? We're going to dive deep into the top 10 reasons you procrastinate and, more importantly, how this habit might be impacting your life in ways you haven't considered. So buckle up, grab your favorite procrastination snack, you know you have one, and let's get started. Okay, let's be honest. Comfort zones are called comfort zones for a reason. They're familiar, they're safe, and they rarely require us to, actually try anything new. But here's the thing about comfort zones. They can also be a bit like that comfy old chair you love, but desperately needs replacing. It's fine for a while, but eventually you start to realize it's got some serious structural issues. Maybe it's even causing some back pain. Procrastination often stems from clinging to what we know, even when what we know isn't really helping us grow. Think about a time you put something off. Was it a task that felt intimidating because it was outside your usual routine? We often avoid stepping outside our comfort zones because, well, it requires effort. It means facing potential discomfort, potential failure, and that can be scary. But here's the secret. Growth, real, meaningful growth, rarely happens within the confines of what we already know. Let's talk about failure, one of humanity's greatest anxieties. Am I right? We're conditioned from a young age to avoid it, to see it as this big, scary monster lurking in the shadows. And you know, what's a great way to avoid failing at something? Not doing it at all. Procrastination can become a shield, a way to protect ourselves from the potential sting of not measuring up. Here's the thing though, failure is an inevitable part of life. Everyone, and I mean everyone, messes up, makes mistakes, and falls flat on their face occasionally. The key is to reframe how we view failure. Instead of seeing it as an endpoint, what if we saw it as a stepping stone? What if, instead of letting the fear of failure paralyze us, we used it as fuel to learn, to grow, and ultimately, to succeed? Imagine you're setting out on a journey. You pack your bags, lace up your hiking boots, but you forget one crucial thing: a map. You wander aimlessly, hoping to stumble upon your destination, but without a clear direction, you're likely to end up lost and frustrated. That's a lot like life without clear goals. Procrastination often thrives when we lack a sense of purpose, a roadmap guiding our actions. When we don't have a clear picture of where we're headed, it's easy to get bogged down in the mundane, to lose sight of what truly matters. Setting specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, smart goals can be a game changer. It's like having that trusty compass, pointing you in the right direction, even when the path gets tough. So take some time to define your goals. What do you want to achieve? And what steps can you take today to move closer to those aspirations? Chapter 4, the siren song of distraction, our modern nemesis. Ah, distractions, the seductive sirens of the 21st century. From the constant pings of our smartphones to the allure of endless scrolling, it's no wonder we find it so hard to focus. Distractions are like those little gremlins that pop up at the worst possible moment, whispering sweet nothings in our ears, urging us to abandon that task we're supposed to be doing. And you know what? They're really good at their job. But here's the deal. We don't have to be victims of our devices. We can take control of our digital environment by setting boundaries, creating dedicated workspaces, and using apps designed to minimize distractions. Remember, focus is a muscle that needs to be trained. The more we practice resisting those tempting distractions, the easier it becomes to stay on track and get things done. Chapter 5. The perfectionism paradox, the high cost of chasing flawlessness. Now, on the surface, perfectionism might not seem like such a bad thing. After all, striving for excellence is generally considered a positive quality. But here's the catch. Perfectionism, in its purest form, is an unattainable ideal. It's a constantly shifting target that leaves us feeling inadequate, no matter how much we achieve. And you know what's a great way to avoid the perceived shame of not being perfect? Yup, you guessed it, procrastination. We tell ourselves we'll wait until we have more time, more resources, more knowledge, when in reality, We're often just afraid to put ourselves out there and risk not being perfect. But here's the thing. Done is better than perfect. It's about progress, not perfection. So embrace the messy, imperfect journey and celebrate the small victories along the way. Chapter 6. Time Management 101. Because time waits for no procrastinator. Time, that elusive concept that somehow manages to both crawl and fly by at the same time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, yet some people seem to accomplish superhuman feats of productivity while others struggle to even get out of their pajamas. The difference often comes down to time management. Procrastinators are notorious for underestimating how long tasks will take and overestimating how much time they have. But good time management isn't about cramming every second of your day with activity. It's about being intentional with how you spend your time, prioritizing tasks, and learning to say no to commitments that don't align with your goals. Start by breaking down large tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks. Use a planner or calendar to schedule dedicated work blocks. And don't be afraid to experiment with different time management techniques to find what works best for you. Chapter 7. The Power of Habits. Breaking free from the procrastination cycle. We are creatures of habit. Our brains love routines because they require less effort, less conscious thought. And while habits can be incredibly helpful for automating positive behaviors, they can also keep us stuck in a rut, especially when it comes to procrastination. The good news is, habits can be changed. It takes time and effort, but it's entirely possible to rewire your brain to favor productivity over procrastination. Start by identifying your procrastination triggers. Do you tend to put off certain types of tasks? Are there specific times of day when you're most likely to procrastinate? Once you've pinpointed your triggers, you can start to develop strategies to combat them. Maybe it's creating a dedicated workspace, setting time limits for tasks, or rewarding yourself for staying on track. Chapter 8. The Motivation Mystery. Finding your spark when you'd rather watch cat videos. Let's be real. Sometimes even the most ambitious among us struggle to muster up the motivation to tackle our to-do lists. It's like there's a constant battle raging in our brains between the part that knows we should be productive and the part that would rather binge-watch baking shows while wearing sweatpants. But motivation isn't some magical force that appears out of thin air. It's often a byproduct of action. The more we do, the more motivated we become to keep going. So how do we break free from the procrastination-induced motivation slump? Start small. Break down that daunting task into tiny, bite-sized chunks that feel less overwhelming. Celebrate your wins no matter how small they may seem. And remember, progress, not perfection, is the goal. Chapter 9. Stress and Anxiety, the Procrastination Pressure Cooker. We live in a world that often glorifies busyness, where our worth is often measured by our productivity. It's no wonder so many of us are feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, and anxious. And you know what's a fantastic coping mechanism for dealing with those uncomfortable emotions? You guessed it, procrastination. When we're feeling overwhelmed, putting things off can feel like a way to regain a sense of control, even if it's just an illusion. But here's the thing about procrastination. It doesn't make the stress go away. It often amplifies it. Those unfinished tasks loom over us, creating a vicious cycle of anxiety and avoidance. So how do we break free? Start by acknowledging your stress and anxiety. Don't try to suppress it or ignore it. Engage in self-care practices that help you manage stress, like exercise, meditation, or spending time in nature. And remember, it's okay to ask for help when you need it. Chapter 10. The Comfort of Procrastination. Breaking up with a bad habit. Here's a hard truth. Procrastination can become a comfortable habit. It's like that worn-out pair of sweatpants you can't seem to part with, even though they have holes in them. We get so used to the cycle of stress, avoidance, and temporary relief that it becomes our default mode. But just like any bad habit, breaking up with procrastination is possible. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to challenge those ingrained patterns of behavior. Start by acknowledging the role procrastination plays in your life. What purpose is it serving? Is it protecting you from fear of failure? Is it a way to cope with stress? Once you understand the root of the problem, you can start to develop healthier coping mechanisms. Remember, change is a process, not a destination. There will be setbacks along the way, but don't let them discourage you. Celebrate your wins, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward one step at a time. Outrow conquering the procrastination monster. So, there you have it, folks. The top 10 reasons you procrastinate, and more importantly, how to start breaking free from this all-too-common habit. Remember, we all procrastinate from time to time. It's part of being human. The key is to recognize when procrastination is holding us back from living our best lives and to develop strategies to overcome it. Start by implementing small changes one step at a time. Celebrate your progress, be kind to yourself, and remember, you've got this. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. See you next time.